Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode in the PrairieFire College series. My name is Will. I'm the Wealth Management Associate here at PrairieFire, also a certified college funding specialist, leading you through this program to help you get a better understanding of the vast world that is college planning. Stuff's always changing, new rules here, new rules there, college gets more expensive. It's a lot. So we're here to help you out. But today's episode is going to be super fun on student loans. Now, some parents, some students might get a little bit of a sour face when they hear the word student loans and they want to stay away from them. And that's fine. But I'm here to educate you on the different types of student loans because a lot of families do fund their entire college education via student loans, and they can be very helpful if you know how to use them correctly, myself included. My entire education is funded on student loans. Fun fact for you. Anyways, there are two types of student loans. There's going to be federal and private. Obviously, federal student loans are offered by the government. There are going to be two types, though. There's going to be direct subsidized and direct unsubsidized. Now, subsidized loans are pretty cool because while you're in school, your loan isn't accruing any interest as far as you're concerned. It is accruing interest, but the government is paying it for you while you're in school. So what you're seeing is just your principal balance sitting there not growing until you're done with school. Pretty cool. Unsubsidized loans, interest is going to accrue from day one, and you're responsible for it. But for both of these, you're not going to be required to make payments while you're in school. Your loans are going to be in deferment. But for unsubsidized loans, the interest is going to still continue to snowball. And then with federal student loans, all interest rates are going to be fixed. Okay. Private student loans, on the other hand, are offered by banks, credit unions, other lending institutions. And their rates can be fixed or variable. So if you choose a variable rate, it's subject to change. And just personal story here, all of my student loans are private. That way it was just one loan, one payment. And at the time, back in 2019, when I started taking student loans, the variable rate was lower than their fixed rate. So I took the variable rate. Well, unless you've been living under a rock, you know where interest rates have gone since then. And my private student loan interest rates skyrocketed from like below 4 to 9.5. So that's the risk you're taking with variable rates. Thankfully, I refinanced to a lower fixed rate and got that taken care of, but there's still that chance that it can go up. And you don't want to be paying 10, 11, 12% on student loan debt. I'll tell you that right now, especially as a recent college graduate. Anyways, again, off my soapbox. Private student loans, all of them are going to be unsubsidized. Again, that means interest is accruing from day one. You're responsible for all of it, but you're not going to be required to make payments while you're in school because your loans are going to be in deferment as well. And then private student loans may require a cosigner depending on credit and things like that, income. And then I'm going to tell you on the next slide, but I've got a little note here for more info on borrowing limits. Go to studentaid.gov, and that's going to transition us here. So which loan is right for me? Federal student loans are generally going to have better benefits as far as repayment plans. They offer income-driven repayment plans. If your income's at a certain level, your payment's going to be this, and it can be super, super low. Private student loans aren't going to offer that. Your payment is what your payment is. They don't really care. And fixed rates for federal student loans can be lower than private student loans, but not all the time. Depends on the lender. But with federal student loans, there are borrowing limits. And at the time I'm recording this, for dependent undergrad students, I think the aggregate limit is $31,000, and you're only allowed to take X amount each year, and it's like tiered, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. So if you're funding your entire college education on student loans, chances are the federal ones are not going to cover it, meaning you're going to max out your federal student loans and then you're going to have to look to private student loans. Now, how the federal student loans work is each disbursement is its own loan, if that makes sense. Again, I don't have federal student loans, but I've seen friends and family who have federal student loans, and I've seen how it's laid out when they make payments, and they've got like 8 or 9 loans, different payment amounts, different interest rates, etc. And then if you have to take private loans on top of that, for some people that can be hard to keep track of on which payments you need to make. But the nice thing is the federal student loan site, it lets you spread your money out across all of the loans if you want. There's a couple different options there, but just forewarning, if you do federal and private, you're going to have a lot of different loans at a lot of different rates. So keep that in mind. And then you could borrow privately for your whole balance. That's what I did. I'm not recommending that. I'm not recommending that. It's totally up to you, but that way it's one simple payment. You know your rate, you know what date the payment's due on, you know the amount. Everything is all in one place. But private student loans might not have as favorable of benefits like rates, grace period, higher rates, things like that. So keep that in mind. So I already kind of told you what I did, but here's a slide on it. So I graduated from University of Northern Iowa in May of 2023. At the time I'm recording this, that is almost 2 years ago. I cannot believe it. With a degree in finance, a degree in real estate, and I funded my entire education via private student loans, so I only have one payment. I didn't make any payments when I was in school. My loans were in deferment, didn't have to worry about it, and then once I started working at PrairieFire, I knew my grace period was going to be here before my grace period was going to end before I knew it. And so I thought, you know what, I should take a look at my student loan balance, see what it's at. And I opened up the student loan website and about had a heart attack. So I started just chipping away at the interest because it was continuing to snowball. I wanted to stop that snowball. So I was chipping away at it even through the end of the grace period, and then obviously now the grace period is long gone, just making payments, trying to get them paid off as soon as possible. But that's what I did and I'm doing. So what do I recommend? Well, if you're going to be in school and you're going to be working, I would recommend putting some extra money that you might have laying around on your student loans. Just chip away at it. Even if you're just paying away at the interest, that's, you're minimizing the snowball. But it's also very important to begin saving, investing, etc. So then it comes down to, okay, what's the rate on my debt? What interest rate am I paying on my debt versus what can I expect to get in investments in the stock market? And there's a little bit of a compare and contrast there. You might do a little bit of both. That's what I do currently. I favor paying down debt a little more than I do investing, but I try and do both. But you don't want to stretch your pockets too thin. You got to survive, got to eat. So keep that in mind. Always shop for a lower rate if you're going private. There are tons of lenders out there, and they're all trying to compete for your business. So they try and keep rates competitive. And a lot of them do offer, they'll reduce your rate by like 0.5% or so if you enroll in automatic payments. So just another way to save a little bit of money. And then if you got a bunch of loans everywhere, you can consolidate them to one payment, make it easy. Here's a little more on income-driven repayment plans. But you can see while the payment might be affordable, the term is really long, 20 to 25 years. But if that's what you got to do, you got to do it. The option is available for federal student loans only. You can learn more at studentaid.gov/IDR. If you go the private route, you can always ask your lender if there are any resources, but I wouldn't bank on anything from them. So what if you're a graduate student? Well, if you've gone through undergrad and now you're going through graduate school, that is going to cost you a lot of money. I can almost guarantee it'll be in the six figures, all said and done. So you're definitely going to have to look at private student loans if you're borrowing. Again, like I said before, make sure to shop around, find the best rate, term, monthly payment, and if they offer any benefits. Definitely take advantage of grace periods. I think the standard one is like 6 months. That's what mine was. So when you're shopping around, ask about those things, all right? What are the pros of student loans? Student loan consolidation, excuse me. One monthly payment. Remember I said if you got federal loans and private loans, you're going to have a ton of loans, different rates, different amounts, different payments, different due dates, etc. One loan, easy peasy. If you need longer, you can receive up to 30 years to repay it, which means lower monthly payment, but you're going to pay way more in interest in the long term. But again, it's there if you need the lower payment. You can switch variable rate loans to fixed rate loans. That's what I did. And then the new rate on your consolidated loans is going to be the average of all your loans combined. If you want, keep the higher rate loans out. They might skew your new rate higher, and just keep those separate and get them paid off ASAP. Cons may force you to lose certain benefits, especially on the federal side. You're going to lose all your federal benefits if you consolidate federal to private. So just keep that in mind. Any accrued interest is going to be added to the principal balance. So your principal balance is going to go up. And then I would recommend against consolidating private with federal. So do federal into private or private into private. I don't think you should do private, federal together. And that's it. That's student loans. Hope I didn't scare you. A lot of information. Debt can be scary, can be overwhelming, but if you shop around, you find an interest rate that is reasonable, your payment is reasonable, it's going to be okay. A tip would be, when you're working, chances are you get paid every 2 weeks. Slice your payment in half and do a half payment every 2 weeks. So instead of having one big payment at the end of the month, you have two smaller payments. Paying off interest faster that way, giving it less time to accrue. And it can just mentally, it can be a little easier just because you're not dishing out, $600, $700 extra at the end of the month if you don't need to. So those are my tips. If you got any other questions, let me know. I'm living through the student loan repayment process now. It's a lot of fun. Glad you're here. Good luck. Contact information here as always. Feel free to shoot us a message, and we will see you guys next time.